Hello, I'm Lockel, and I want to let you guys in on something. So, a few weeks ago, I was made privy to a thing known as the Kennard Iron Pot. Now, what is the Kennard Iron Pot? Well, apparently this was a pot found in a 300 million coal ore in Wilburton, Oklahoma, and was completely man-made. Now, if you're anything like me, the first reaction to this would be something along the lines of, what? Who is this? When did you discover this? Let me tell you right now, that question was a lot harder to find than it looks. Let's start where this began. The first media I saw which contained info about this Kennard Iron Pot, or the KAP, was an AI-generated Instagram reel. Normally, this would be the end of it, as I've never seen an AI video cite anything, nor is the machine just making something up out of the question, but just to be sure, I decided to Google and typed in Oklahoma Iron Pot. Not even a Wikipedia page. Nice. While there are a plethora of blog, Reddit, and Facebook posts about the thing, if you were to click on the top Reddit post regarding the post, the OP actually does cite a source, or at least puts a link to where they got their own information. So, what is their source? Well, if you click on the pot photo, it redirects you to an article on a website called Anomalien.com. Okay, so this is where the claim started, right? Wrong. In fact, this entire website is more a database for fringe archaeology and paranormal happenings. So, like the post before them, they have a source. Multiple, actually. Sadly, though, 3 of these sources are just redirects to different Anomalien posts, and the other 2 are a blog and a newsletter called Ancient Origins. Ancient Origins itself doesn't really give any insight that Anomalien didn't touch on. Now, here comes the other Anomalien source, Metallicman. Sure enough, Metallicman has a large blog post from 2018 that relays not just the initial published account, but also quotations and photos, both of which are cited by the Anomalien and Ancient Origin pages. According to Mr. Metallic, the first ever account regarding the Iron Pot came from a certain Wilbert H. Rush in the Creation Research Society Quarterly No. 7, 1971, including the photos within the Metallic blog. Hey, so this is Editing Lockel here. Just want to say that this is, of course, as you can see, not the same photo as the one that's used in the Metallicman blog. Both photos in the Metallicman blog are actually different than the one used in the Quarterly. And in fact, none of the photos that have been used by any of the websites are actually from the Quarterly itself, even though they all kind of go back to the Quarterly. Just want to put that in there. He goes further to say that the pot is now archived at the Creation Evidence Museum. While Mr. Metallic has been very helpful with uncovering the true location of the claim, he isn't exactly the best source to end on, as not only is he relaying information secondhand, but a quick glance at the rest of his page, and it's very clear that he's biased in the favor of the belief that the pot is real. With that established, is it even possible to obtain the original source anymore? It's from 1971. That's at least 17 minutes ago. Well, funnily enough, yes. Yes, it is. How exactly I got my hands on it, though, I'll be fully honest, I don't really remember. But what really matters is that it's here and that we can read it. Before we go into the source, though, 2 major questions must be asked. Number 1, does the source provide an adequate origin for the claim? And 2, does it provide enough evidence to elevate the Iron Pot past conjecture and to be ratified as an actual out-of-place artifact? Okay. First, the source, despite being the grand beginning of this entire ordeal, doesn't even give the Iron Pot a full page to itself. Furthermore, Professor Rush, like Metallicman, is a secondary source, stating that this is nothing more than an anecdote given by a different doctor called Frank L. Marsh from a photograph, and that this encounter was, quote, some years ago. Due to the fact that this entire artifact stems from an anecdotal memory that Professor Rush had, combined with the lack of citations barring the photo and later transcript, this does point to Rush as the original source for the claim in the scholarly world. Now, does it prove the existence of it as an out-of-place artifact? To that, I say No. No, it doesn't. To start off, while there can be no doubt that a pot exists, courtesy of the photo, at no point in the quarterly did Rush make the claim that its claimed origin is. In fact, Rush goes on to say that the pot was lost, something that directly contradicts the words of Metallicman, who says that it's currently archived in the Creationist Evidence Museum. Furthermore, the closest the professor ever got to stating the story to be true was a hypothetical statement regarding geologists. Quote, "Assuming the story is true, and if the fireman had saved 2 parts of coal as well as the pot, I wonder what kind of explanation coal geologists would come up with to explain the presence of a fashioned iron pot in stew in a coal bed." It seems that the main jumping point was not the quarterly itself, but rather Metallicman's own site, as the most critical things regarding the pot, it being archived and that the story it being told as an actual true thing, are not stances that can be taken due to lack of evidence, and, in relation to the continued possession of the pot, contradiction of evidence. So, what's the conclusion? Well, based on the end findings of the investigation, the only conclusion that can be made is that there is not enough evidence to support this pot as an example of an out-of-place artifact. The entire existence of the pot is banking off the memory of one man about a piece of coal and pot that he claims are now lost. Furthermore, as Glen J Kuban would say in his draft website from 2006 regarding the pot, quote, "In a mining environment, it is common to find puddles saturated with particles of whatever material was being mined. If a man-made object falls into such a sediment-laden slurry, the sediment will often consolidate around it. Over a period of years, the sediment can dry and harden considerably, forming a concretion-like structure resembling a piece of the original formation." End quote. This phenomena, particularly, is why I believe that the pot itself is real, and thus solving the issue of the photo. But instead of it being from millions of years ago, it was something relatively recent in the historical timeline that just got taken by the Earth. For another example in the United States, look over to the London hammer, which was not found in London, but instead London, Texas. This was a 19th century hammer found in sediment due to concretions. How would concretions be applicable here? Well, basically, if something was to fall down a coal mine and be left there, there's a chance for the coal around it and the sediment to start forming around the object, especially if it was inside a more watery area, or if the mine gets rain in it. So, final verdict. Number 1. The pot is a real pot that was photographed. We can see that in the photograph. Number 2. It is not an out-of-place artifact, since there is simply not enough evidence to prove that it is one outside of just word of mouth and memory. Number 3. Unless the letter in the photo itself was fabricated, it probably was found in coal, but it got that way via concretions, which is something also that coal is known to do. Here are some examples on screen. Anyway, that's it. Until next time.